is because when you got on his team, you had fun. There was no ego involved. He respected you regardless of your skill level, regardless of your ability to play the game. He gave you the ball if you weren't that good. It was irrelevant to him. He wanted everybody to participate in the game. He wanted everybody to be part of what was going on. And that's something you don't understand until later in life. I'm 2 years older than he is, and so we never were able to play on the same team. 2 years was basically how they broke up every sport you ever played in. And I didn't play on the same team with him until we were in high school in a summer league game. And I'm the senior going into my senior year. He's a sophomore, and he's playing. He had to be brought in for the summer league game. We were short a guy, so he said, let's just bring him in. He starts playing point guard, and he's directing me where to go. And after the game, I'm thinking about that. I'm like, I should be really mad at him right now, because he's directing me where to go. The problem was, he was right. And the way he gave it to me, the way he said it to me, like he said to everybody else, I had no animosity at all. I said, yeah, I'll go do that. I'll do that. Sure, right. Now, if this had been 5 years earlier, you know, we might have gotten to some issues. Maybe 2 years earlier than that. But he's always been that kind of person that's able to direct you, lead you in the direction you need to go without making you feel of a lesser person, lesser ability, and certainly as an older brother, I should have felt a little bit more pissed off, but I didn't. As far as his statistics for his high school and his college, you can read about that. I won't regale you with those because, quite honestly, to Keith, they were irrelevant. He was the second all-time leading assist man in high school. I didn't know that until one of his friends told me that 5 years after he graduated. I said, I didn't know that, Keith. I didn't know you were second. He goes, yeah, I guess I learned that a couple years ago. I didn't know that either. Didn't care. It was funny. I opened up his high school yearbook this morning, and he has like 9. You look under Bunkenburg, and he has like 9 references to where he's in the yearbook. So I look at the first one. It's on the National Honor Society page. And I went, whoa. That's one page I didn't expect him to be on. But he won the National Honor Society Athletic Award. I didn't know that. Why didn't you tell me that, Keith? When he came to Benedictine, he came in his freshman year, and he was their leading scorer for the first half of the season. Lit it up. Until he started to realize that the team would be better if he didn't light it up. He pulled back his scoring, became the second all-time assist leader at Benedictine University. At some point, against his coach's better judgment, I remember hearing the coach saying, Keith, you gotta shoot more! It's like, but coach, if I get these guys involved, then everybody will be part of the team. And the team at the time, he was a freshman, they were senior-oriented, there's a lot of good players in their last year. He wanted to make sure they were participating as best they could. During his college years is when our father passed away. His dad was the person that really gave us the inspiration to love sports, but never was the dad that pushed us to do anything. If you loved it, he said, go for it. He supported you. He brought you places. He was at every game. But he never said, you better play basketball and you better play hard. You better play football and you better play hard. Because I did that. Actually, he was a great baseball player. And Keith played baseball as well, but his love was basketball, as you likely have heard. What he also taught us through those years was balance and perspective. And it's not surprising that when, at that time, he was a teacher. And Keith has become a teacher of life, and not just of sports. His junior year, he was MVP. And then you go, wow, senior year was an MVP as well. Well, he wasn't. And you go, I thought, well, why wasn't he MVP his senior year? And it was for one simple reason. The team was better if he did something less than being the center of attention for the team. He cut back on his scoring. His best friend blossomed that year, became a real dominant big man, and Keith's job he realized it was better for the team to give the big man the ball down low, make sure that the big man got it because they scored better that way. He was the MVP that year, and Keith couldn't have been happier for him. There was no animosity, there was no anything involved, but we had a much better year because we did it that way. Other people with that kind of skill set and other people with that kind of background might have been a little pissed off, a little ego-maniacal. Keith is not that guy. Which is why he's been such a good addition to Benedictine University. and the like. I'll give you one quick story about outside of Benedictine University. I have a really nice, great brother-in-law, Ken Heinbach, my wife's brother. I have 4 kids. About a year ago, they spent a weekend with them as we went away. And he brought them to sporting events. He gave them ice cream. He had them laid up with movies, popcorn, the works. And so he's bringing them home, and he's in the car with our kids. And he says, well, who's your favorite uncle? And all 4 of them, without thinking, without responding, not automatically said, Uncle Keith. And he's like, wow. Get out of my car. Well, the things that made Keith a great athlete and a great brother and a great friend are the things that make him a great coach and a great teacher in life. And I'm very proud to have him as my brother. Not just because of what he does to make himself better and make you better, but make you want to be better. And that's the magic. That's the magic of what he does and why he's such a great asset to this university. So without further ado, and on behalf of many people who would love to be up here introducing Keith, and Keith would be rightfully honored to ask them. He has many friends. My older brother as well would just as honored to be here, and I thank him for having me present him today. But on behalf of all those people that are honored and part of his life and part of our lives, I would like to introduce you to a Hall of Fame son, Hall of Fame brother, Hall of Fame friend, Hall of Fame teacher, Hall of Fame leader, and now Benedictine University Hall of Fame basketball player, Keith Bunkenburg.
Well, first of all, we have basketballs behind us bouncing, which is somewhat apropos to the situation here. And Brian, thank you so much for those kind words. Really appreciate it. First of all, I want to thank all the Hall of Fame. Well, first of all, congratulations to all the Hall of Fame members. This has been just a great weekend. Something I'll never forget, obviously. I want to thank Mark McCorney, our athletic director, who I'd like to take credit for him being here. Mark was my assistant coach for a couple years, and he prominently moved to athletic director right after being my assistant coach. But Mark, you've done a great job. Our athletic department is going in such a great direction, and we're very lucky to have you. John, you've been here a short period of time. This event has been unbelievable. So all the hard work that you've put in, really appreciate it. And in a short period of time, you've made a huge impact on our athletic department. Dr. Carroll, you know, I was a head coach when you first started. I was lucky enough to make the NCAA tournament that year. But the impact that you've made on this institution, the buildings, the campus, the academics, the enrollment has been unbelievable. So thank you so much, because as far as recruiting and athletics and having good teams, it all starts with the president. Charlie, you have not only been obviously a great administrator here, but a good friend. And you know, I've coached here for over 20 years, played here for a few years. Went to school here for 8. No, I'm just kidding. We played on a rubber floor, coached on a rubber floor. This facility is unbelievable. And when you bring kids in to recruit, and our players come in here every day to practice and games, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. To getting this facility done and just having a wonderful place to come and work every single day. Next, I want to thank my family, my mom, who's been a great influence in my life, great supporter, been to almost every single game, traveled, again, a very good sports fanatic. And you know, I'm lucky, I grew up on the north side of Chicago. And you know, both my mom and dad got me involved in sports very early. Little league, basketball, football. Well, football didn't last because I was nuts. Had a concussion, hurt my knee, and they basically said, you're not going to play football anymore unless you get a 4.0. Well, we didn't play football anymore. So, and just to let you know, I grew up with some great friends, and I'm still good friends till today. You know, a lot of those kids didn't play sports. They didn't get involved in Little League. They didn't get involved in playing football. They didn't get involved in playing basketball. I did at a very young age. My parents didn't make a lot of money, but they made those sacrifices to get all of us involved at a very early age to play athletics, and were obviously a big influence in my life. My dad, who's not here, was also obviously a huge influence. He came to everything. And just a quick story. It was kind of funny. He was a baseball player. Obviously, he loved the game, and he had tryouts with the Cubs and the White Sox. He played in high school, and loved coming to the games. I remember one college game. It was 30 degrees out. He drove up from the north side of Chicago after working all day. He was a teacher in the Chicago public school system. Was very challenging for him, and took a lot out of him. But I remember him coming to games here at Benedictine, driving the 45 minutes, an hour, and it was a baseball game, as a matter of fact. It was 30 degrees out, and he's in the car, the lights on, watching me play. I'd get a hit, he'd beep the horn. He was unbelievable. And my brother's right, he was very unassuming. He didn't push, he didn't say, what are you doing? Why aren't you not shooting the ball? Why aren't you not, scoring more? He was just there to support. And I was very lucky to have him in my life, and I wish he was here today, but I know he's looking down and watching right now. So I also want to thank my coaches that I've been able to coach with. I know Paul Nelson's here somewhere. He was my assistant for 8 years, and we had a lot of good teams. Paul was another person, again, no ego, and I consider him another head coach. I know Frank's here. Frank's been with me for close to 10 years, and he's been instrumental in a lot of the kids that we've gotten, and has a huge heart. He's a great coach, but he's a guy that really cares about the players, and obviously cares about the students here at Benedictine. He's also our golf coach. Steve Schaefer, who's my assistant right now, he's been here for 2 years, and he's a phenomenal coach, phenomenal recruiter. Very lucky to have him, so thanks, Steve, for helping out. And Matt Jones, our student assistant last year, and he's been working for a very minimal amount of money and doing a great job, and we hope to get him to move on, maybe be a GA. But I want to thank you guys for all the hard work that you've done. The other thing is you're only as good as your players, and I've had some great players over the years. I remember a story. It was really kind of funny. I forget who the dean of students was at the time, but it was in between getting the job here, and I was the assistant for Coach Escala, and they were considering, who the next head coach is going to be, because Coach Escala retired. So of course I wanted the job, and Coach Escala did a really good job of really not advertising for the job, not putting it in the NCAA news. He really wanted me to get the job, and so I remember the dean at that time, and I can't remember her name, but it was probably June or July at the time, and we still didn't name a coach. Well, I'm on pins and needles, like, who are they going to hire? Am I going to get the job? Well, she walked in, and I'm still recruiting, and one of the recruits that I got, or I was trying to get, was a player by the name of Jeremy Schoenecker. And I go, well, hey, is there been any decisions on who the head coach is going to be and what's going to happen? And she said, well, why? I said, well, it's kind of important to me because we're recruiting, and the head coach makes a really big decision on where people go. She kind of said, well, that doesn't matter. And the head coaches, they do have a lot of influence. But I was lucky enough. The next week, and other administrators, I think it was Barbara Bernhardt, who was the vice president at the time, decided to make me the head coach. And obviously, it was one of the happiest days of my life. And the following week, Jeremy Schoenecker ended up coming to Benedictine and ended up being the player of the year in our conference for 2 years. We went to an NCAA tournament, and he's just one of many, many players that I've had. Terry Frigo, another great player, was an all-district player, and was up for All-American. But you're only as good as your players, and I've been very lucky to have some really good ones. Coach Escala, I know he's not here. He's on his way to Florida. Very big influence in my career. Gave me the opportunity to come here and coach. Originally when he asked me to come work here, I had 2 coaches that were asking me to stay. One was Max Curlin to stay at St. Pat's, and one was Coach Scala. And it was a really tough decision. I was lucky to play for 2, not just great coaches, but great people. So it was a really tough decision. And I made a decision to come to Benedictine. I wanted to be a college coach. That was the direction I wanted to come, and luckily, Coach Scala gave me that opportunity. The other person who's not here ended up falling down yesterday and hurting himself was Joe Kilbride. Joe Kilbride was really the one that kind of recruited me and talked to me a lot on the phone, sent me a lot of letters. Great coach. He's currently the assistant coach over at Bennett for the women, but he influenced me a lot, and I learned a lot from him as far as the X's and O's of the game. He was at an all-star game that I played in, and there was a bunch of Division I players in it, and for whatever reason, it was one of those games I just had a phenomenal game. And I probably had 25 points. It was the East Suburban Catholic against the Mid-Suburban League. And I probably had, they're introducing all these players. This guy's going to Nebraska, this guy's going to Ferris State, this guy's going to North Carolina. And I'm like, I'm going to go out there and prove that I belong with these guys. So it was very motivating. Well, I ended up having 25 points. I went in the locker room and think, of course, your ego kicks in and says, well, I'm just as good as these guys. Why am I not getting a scholarship? But, reality hits you pretty quickly that you're not as good as these players. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster. So I walk out. Well, who's the first person waiting for me there? Sweating, because there were many college coaches in the stands. Well, it was Joe Kilbride. And he grabbed me, and he says, well, where are you going to school? And I said, Coach, I'm going to Benedictine. And he was very relieved, because after that game, he probably felt there was going to be a lot of coaches coming up to me and talk to me. None did, but it was just it was really fun kind of seeing him squirm. But nowadays that's what I do. I squirm when we go out recruiting. Benedictine's been a huge part of my life, obviously as a player and as a coach, and I'm very lucky to be part of this institution. As a coach, as a player. Stories after stories I could sit here and tell, but I know we're running out of time. And I just want to say this, that once you come here to this institution, once you go to school here, once you play here, you're always part of it. And I'm just very lucky to be part of it in a big, special way. So for all the inductees, for all the people that don't work here, but have graduated from here, you're always welcome to come back, because this is your home. And the people that work here, my fellow co-workers, Kate, Jen, Paul, Dave, John, Mark, and I know I'll miss a bunch of people, Hope. It's a great place to work, and it's a great place to be at. And I'm very lucky to be doing what I'm doing. I'm very lucky to be working with the people that I work with. I do want to mention just real quick Dave Swanson. Dave was the women's coach when I got the head job at the men's coach. I got the men's job when I was 20, oh boy, when was that, 1960, no, it was 1996, I believe, and Dave was the women's coach. I want to thank him, because being at that age, being a head coach and taking on the responsibilities of 20, 25 players, Dave was great. And he made me feel comfortable, he made me feel wanted, getting practice times, switching courts, when you're trying to, figure out when to practice, where to practice. Dave was just very, very supportive. And, when you first get a job, you're just not sure how you're gonna work with the women's coach and what's gonna happen. But Dave was just unbelievable. And Coach Ostrowski, I played for him for 2 years. What an experience. Playing both sports was really, really tough. And, playing for Coach Ostrowski, obviously, he knows the game. And for me, it was a big challenge, because I played at St. Pat's. There was a cage above my head. There was a cage 2 feet away from me. So any pass ball, I could just go, turn around, grab it, and just throw somebody out. I came to Benedictine, I had to run to go get the ball, about 15, 20 feet. So I became a pretty good catcher here for 2 years, and unfortunately I didn't play my last couple of years, which I do regret. But those 2 years that I had was very special, Coach, and I appreciate the experience I had there. So thanks everybody for coming. I know these guys probably want to wrap it up, but I really appreciate it. I love this place, and I hope to be here for a little bit longer, and we'll see how it goes. Thank you.
All right, Keith, once again, congratulations. Congratulations to all of our